What's up everyone? Today's video is going to be pretty cool. It's the 1-year update on my 240SX Restomod project. Time has certainly flown and a lot of stuff has happened over the last year. Made a lot of progress, but also ran into some setbacks, and I thought this would be a perfect time to go ahead and make a video talking about all of that, to not only answer a lot of the questions that I've received over the last 6 months, but to give you guys a snapshot on what to expect as we go through 2018. Nissan sent over the new Armada Platinum Reserve for me to test out this week, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for a road trip. To kick things off, we're going to head to Florida and link up with MazWorks and check out some engine progress, so that's super exciting. I'm also going to load up all of the parts that it's going to take to actually do this swap and bring it on back to North Carolina. I'll explain why in just a moment. When I get home, we're going to have an unbox fest. We're going to check out all of these engine swap parts and a lot of the parts that I've collected over the last year, including stuff for the exterior, interior, and more. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright guys, we're in Sanford, Florida at MazWorks, where they're about to start reassembling the short block, so let's head on inside and check it out. For anybody wanting to do powertrain swaps on 240s, the options are pretty much endless. A lot of people will stick with the stock KAs and build them up and stuff, which is probably the easiest route, but a lot of people also swap in SR20s. You can do LS motors, RBs, 1Js, 2Js, VQs, you pretty much get my point. With my vision of restomodding this car, I thought it just made more sense to have a Nissan engine going in a Nissan, and I love the idea about this thing being powered by an inline 6. It's kind of funny when you think, after this whole engine swap is done, I probably could have bought a really nice Skyline GTST or something like that, but you know, this thing is going to be really special. It's going to be a very unique car when it's all said and done, and I can't wait for that first startup. It's going to be so satisfying. I bought the engine and transmission at the end of 2016 and sat on it for a few months as I figured out what to do with it. The more I thought about it, I figured it probably wasn't the smartest idea just to swap the powertrain in as it was, especially not knowing the history of it. It could all probably benefit from a thorough rebuild. So the guys at Rivsu put me in touch with MazWorks. They build race engines, specialize in SR20s, and can pretty much tackle anything and everything when it comes to these types of engines. You guys gotta go check out their website too. They have this S15 drag car that's absolutely insane. As we were planning the rebuild, the gears started turning again, and I was like, well, if we're gonna go through all of this effort of taking the engine down to bare minimum, we might as well build it back up with some cool stuff and fortify it a bit. So through Rivsu, we ended up ordering CP forged pistons, Manley forged connecting rods, an ACL rod and main bearing set, ARP head studs, ARP main studs, and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you'd like to see the list, I have it in the description below. For now, I decided not to modify the head. With everything else going on, it's a bit out of my reach right now, and I thought it would open me up for some more content later down the line, maybe buying a separate head entirely and doing a stage 1 port and polish, cams, and all of that kind of stuff to really open the engine up after everything is said and done. But of course, it's been completely gone through, media blasted, hot dipped. It's got a fresh valve job, so everything is fitting nice and proper, and if anything, airflow is even more efficient now than it would have been otherwise. Unfortunately, my time in Florida was short, and there's still a bunch of things that need to be done before the engine can be finally assembled. I'd like to get down one more time to see everything completed, but we'll see how it all goes. As always, I'll keep you guys posted through my social media channels, so be sure to check those out. Alright, got the parts all loaded up. Now it's time to head on home. We'll check out all that stuff when I get there, but first, there's a bunch of stuff that I want to talk about. So, first off, I wanted to explain a little bit more what my direction is with this car. So, I've thrown out the word Restomod a lot in past videos, and I wanted to, talk about what that actually means. So, usually when someone talks about restomodding something, it's usually with some sort of classic American muscle car or something like that. Basically, you take an old car and you modernize it. You change out the brakes, change out the engine to more updated units, but you're still able to preserve the car's original character, and that's what I want to do with the 240. I bought the car without a specific direction or anything like that. I just thought it was a really cool original car and I could just have some fun with it. I made some videos early on asking folks like what they wanted to see out of the series and, give me some ideas on a direction to take, and I got everything from keeping it stock to making a full drift missile. The thing about 240s is that there is so much aftermarket support that you can pretty much do anything your heart desires, from a suite of engines and transmissions to bodywork to interior, suspension, brakes, wheels, and more. With that in mind, I chose to go the Restomod route because it would really allow me to dive into this car, to go through it completely and change out all of the worn out original components for better components. Think of it as OEM plus. I'm trying to keep the car looking sort of original, but at the same time making it better, making it handle better, making it ridiculously fast, and just an all-around great car that you can daily drive if you wanted to. The 240 has been a continual learning process. The more I dive into this thing, whether it be through research or installing parts, the more things that I discover. The more parts that I find that I can swap in, the more things that I can change out, better ways, better techniques of doing things to not just make the content easier to film as we go through the series, but to make the car even cooler in the end. My only regret so far is that I haven't made a ton of content on the car so far. If you look at the entirety of 2017, there wasn't a whole lot of 240 content. That's because there's been so much planning in the background. My direction that I had initially taken when I decided to buy the RB25 from Rifsu Imports was just to do an engine swap and just mildly upgrade it here and there. Now it's gotten into this crazy thorough, change out the entire suspension, do all of this mega stuff that I had never even dreamed of when I bought the car in the first place. So with all of those direction changes, it's been kind of hard to plan out content. If you follow me on my social media platforms, especially Instagram, you kind of have an idea of all the stuff that's been happening, but all of that is going to change for 2018. There's so much content. Right now, I'm in the process of filming a 4-part rear end rebuild series. After that, I'm going to do a video of rebuilding the front suspension. We're going to pull the engine. I mean, there's a ton of content over the next few months. In other words, things are finally starting to come to fruition, even with all of the delays that I experienced last year, which, come to think of it, a lot of you guys probably don't even know about. For one, we had all of those hurricanes pounding the southeast, and unfortunately that put like a 2.5 month delay on engine progress and parts ordering, which, you know, it is what it is. You can't predict Mother Nature. But in the midst of all of that, I was working on doing the big brake upgrade with Charles, the Hummel mechanic, and aside from stripping one of the front caliper mounting brackets, which was completely my bad, the rear brake kit that I ordered ended up being halfway wrong. I guess when I originally ordered it, 2 packages must have gotten mixed up. So between the back and forth with figuring that out, it was about a month delay collective. But you know, that's project car life, and I've learned that really, really quick. Things are going to take longer than you originally planned for them to, and stuff's gonna change. There's so many variables, from either changing directions, from, you know, switching parts, or weather, or stuff breaking. Anything can happen. You just gotta roll with it and, you know, make the best of it. It's been challenging to say the least, and I'm not gonna lie, it's been pretty stressful too, because the whole reason I wanted to do this in the first place, and I've tried integrating project car-like content in the past, and it just never really went anywhere. This is my first major foray into a project car. I want to branch out into different types of content to where I'm not just doing the same type of car reviews over and over and over, but I can broaden the type of content that people can expect from this channel and do stuff that's more engaging, more fun, stuff that's all about a journey and sharing, you know, the progress and the setbacks and just having fun. YouTube is all about having fun, and I talked about that in my most recent update video, asking everybody if, you know, whether it was time for a change, whether I should kind of shift the direction of my channel a little bit. So aside from maintaining the car reviews and doing, you know, more laid back, in-depth tours and stuff, I want to make project cars a regular feature of this channel. The thing that's been hardest about doing that is that my channel is not known for project cars, so I've been having to develop this from the ground up, and you guys have been so supportive of everything that I've been trying to do with this car so far, and it's absolutely humbling. I cannot thank you all enough. This car is going to be really, really special. I'm trying to do something different here, and with everybody's continued support, it's going to be amazing. Also, I can't stress it enough, please support the brands who have supported my vision of restomodding this 240. The partnerships that I've developed over the last year are going to really come in handy with making this car a reality, and I'm so thankful for it. For example, I partnered with Exxon Mobil and their Speed Pass Plus app to develop 4 road trip themed 240 videos. This being the second one. The first one was the big brake upgrade. There's 2 more to go, and they're going to be pretty awesome. The Exxon Mobil Speed Pass Plus app allows you to go to any Exxon filling station and pay for fuel using only your smartphone. All you have to do is download the app, put in any personal payment information that you want to use, like a debit card, or you can apply for Exxon's Smart Card. Once that's in place, you just show up at an Exxon station, select Pay for Fuel, and it's all handled via the app. If you have your location services turned on, it makes things a bit easier because the app can actually locate which station you're at and select it for you. After that, you move on to the payment options before coming to a confirmation screen. At that point, the payment method is in and the receipt options are there. Next, you just hit Authorize Pump, select your gas, and get started. Personally, I enjoy using the app because it keeps me from having to slide my debit card at the pump, so I think it's a safer way to pay for fuel. So to learn more and get started, visit getspeedpassplus.com/Kyle. Of course, there's more things that we need to talk about, including the plans going forward, but I'm almost home, so let's get there and start tearing into some of these parts. Alright guys, welcome to Parts Central. Between the car, current video projects, and all of the stuff that I've collected for this thing so far, space is starting to get kind of tight, but you know, it's pretty cool seeing all of this stuff pile up. It just gets me excited for things to come. Like I said, I'm currently in the process of doing a major suspension overhaul broken up into 5 different videos, 4 for the rear end and 1 for the front. I'm basically rebuilding the whole suspension, changing out bushings, hardware, control arms, installing new axles, installing a limited slip diff, just a ton of stuff. So be sure to check those videos out. The first is already live, it's the Subframe Overhaul, and can be found in the description below. So what about all of the parts to actually do the engine swap? Well, I'm still waiting on a top mount turbo manifold and the wiring harness, which that kind of stuff is made to order, but pretty much everything else is lying in front of me. I'm going to have to get some odds and ends here and there as we proceed through the swap, but this is pretty much it. I have an intake manifold, 1-piece drive shaft, the blow-off valve, downpipe, all of the piping for the intercooler, top mount fuel rail, all the computer systems, just a bunch of stuff. I'm also going to be upgrading the transmission with a lightweight steel flywheel and a Stage 3 competition clutch. The last thing I want to talk about is my plan for cosmetics and the restoration side of the build. For starters, I was actually able to find almost all of the weather stripping still available through Nissan Genuine Parts, so I can swap out all of that old stuff for fresh new rubber. Everything from the windshield to the sunroof, doors, and even the belt lines, it's going to be a welcomed upgrade. A lot of people have asked me whether I was going to keep the original color or not, and I definitely am. It's called Midnight Blue Pearl. There's a slight metallic flake to it, and even with all of the stuff that has to be fixed on it, it's really pretty out in the sun. If you think about it, there aren't too many outside colors that look good with a blue interior except for, well, blue and possibly white. Before we can start making the car pretty though, there's a lot of body work that needs to be done. The car's never been wrecked, thank goodness, but there's a lot of dents, dings, scratches, just a lot of stuff that's going to have to be either pulled or smoothed out. There's going to be some major work, but I'm not sure when I'm going to start on the cosmetics at this point. I'm going to make sure that the powertrain and suspension are all finished before I even think about doing that, but that's something we'll work on a little later down the line. To finish up the exterior, I'm actually going to be doing a complete 180SX Type X conversion. This is nothing new. A lot of people have done this, and you know, some people have their personal preferences. Some people like the stock body, which a lot of people call the pig nose in the 89 and 90 models, but I actually really like the Type X kit. It's going to give the car a more aggressive look. It's going to fill in those 17-inch TE37s a bit more. It's going to look awesome. And as you can see in this Japanese brochure that I ordered of the 180SX, you can get a good idea of how this car is going to look in the end. The thing is, most of the Type X kit you can actually get from aftermarket companies that would be typically made of fiberglass. I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to track down all of the original Nissan components, which obviously cost a lot more money and took a lot more time to try to find all the parts between Nissan, which actually still had some of them in stock, to various companies across the country and even some companies in Japan. But I think it's going to make the car a lot more special in the end going that route versus getting the fiberglass pieces. For example, the OEM Type X front bumper is actually 4 pieces. If you get an aftermarket fiberglass one, it's usually just a one molded piece. So you got to find all of these individual parts and figure out how to put them together, because the front end swap is not as easy as it seems. The Type X has all of these specific metal brackets behind, headlight stiffener brackets, the side supports. All of it is unique, and now Nissan still has some of them in stock, but some are discontinued. So I actually had to order 3 different bumpers in order to put one Type X bumper together. There's a lot of different stuff at the rear for the Type X too, including this big wing, as well as the entire taillight assembly and this metal valence that goes underneath the taillights. I love how there's like 2 round portions that stick out right there. I have to do a little bit of wiring to adapt them to the 240, but it's not going to be that hard. Also at the rear, the Type X has a unique 3-piece valence kit that goes around the rear bumper. So you probably saw the red one over there. I found that at a junkyard to replace mine, which has a crack that I don't believe is repairable. So once that is on, fitted properly, I can go ahead and put those on. So that's going to look pretty sweet from the rear. Last but not least, this unique 2-piece side skirts, and I had to get these little front bumper extensions. So basically, the Type X front bumper is a little bit wider than the stock body, so you actually need to get these, which butt right up to the bumper to create a nice smooth line, and it turns into the wheel well. Well guys, thanks for bearing with me. I know there was a lot to talk about in this video, and I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the progress made so far. Of course, I'm going to go through all of these parts in much greater depth as we move through the series, but I just wanted to give you guys a general overview of kind of my direction for the car and what to expect as we go through 2018. Again, a huge thanks to Exxon Mobil and their Speed Pass Plus app for making this video and all the future road trip videos possible. Thanks again for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like below. Take care, guys.